everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. And check out our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. And finally, check out our Altar Sleeves. Support the show by using the code MAGICMICS at checkout for 5% off anything in the store, including a set of exclusive sleeves featuring the Magic Mics crew at AltarSleeves.com/MagicMics. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hello, everybody.
Ruben Bressler.
What's up? Sponsor us, Billy the Big Mouth Bass and Diet Cherry Pepsi.
Diet Cherry Pepsi.
Amazon Prime, and I'm trying to think of things that can sponsor us that we're not referencing pre-show.
Nice.
Yeah, those are all good ones.
Well, look,
Sherry's Berries could sponsor us.
Definitely Sherry's Berries. We kick it off.
My sister and I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but I'm going to do it.
All right.
My Father's Day is coming up. My sister and I bought Sherry's Berries for Father's Day.
What the hell is
I
Sherry's
thought Father's
Berries?
Day already happened.
They're chocolate dipped strawberries.
It's this Sunday.
Oh, okay, good to know.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're talking to your fathers or your father figures, send them a nice text.
There you go. Well, we kick it off with our first pick in the giveaway. Get your chance at a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat, but subscribe first to get 2 chances to win. And don't forget our raid at the end of the show to support a member of the community. Enter your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we might raid tonight. Because we're here to talk about another secret lair. Now, we will discuss what I feel like the reason they talked about the secret lair thing today while they made this other horrible change. We'll talk about the horrible change later. Right now, we will focus on the secret lair. This is, I would argue, the most value-packed secret lair I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Bring it up on screen here so we can go through it all. This is the all-natural, totally refreshing Superdrop. These names are weird. I just want you to know that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why they work so hard, it feels like, to have these themey
it's
names.
It's probably just one person who just has the power and has decided that this is what they're going to do, which is fine. They're like, this is an irrelevant thing. Like, the name of the thing is irrelevant, and it got us talking about it for 30 seconds.
I'll take it. So, sure. Either way, we kick off here with Saturday morning D&D. Wow, this thing is sweet as hell. Now, granted, it's Primal Vigor and 5 other cards, but Primal Vigor is like a $45 to $50 card. Yep. So the fact you can get all 6 of these, the Commander Sphere, the Weir of Invention, the Hero's Downfall, Impact Trimmers, Unbreakable Formation, and the Primal Vigor, all for a whopping...
What of Invention?
I was just going to say, what's the Weir?
It's Whir.
Whir.
You better whir, bitch.
Oh, hey. The fact you can get all of these for $30 or $40 in foil is just bananas. Like,
that's a steal.
That's a steal. I don't know how else to slice it. And it looks super cool. I mean, Ruben, how cool is it to have the Saturday morning cartoon here?
I mean, that's the thing I'm most excited about. I think that the frog fight episode of the Dungeons & Dragons TV show is freaking hilarious. You've got the Dungeon Master on the Commander Sphere. Mm-hmm. This is just really cool. I think that it is a natural fit for the theming, and even though all of the money is in the Primal Vigor, some of these other cards, your Impact Tremors, your Wars of Invention, are cards that see play in other formats, even if they're not $1 million each.
Right.
So I think that this is a good combo. And I think that, calling forward / calling back to the Adventure Forgotten Realms set that's upcoming, I think that this is just super cool.
Oh yeah, it's really cool, and it has like some of the actual language from the show. This is the end for all of you, crack a boom, and giant music spike for the commercial, which is fantastic. So that's Saturday morning D&D. You can get them in foil for $40 and non-foil for $30. It's fantastic. The Artist Series Mark Poole.
Yes.
For $30.
$30.
$30.
That is insane.
The Wasteland alone is $30. That's what Wasteland is currently going for.
Yeah, and
you're getting a Wasteland.
But this is not just any Wasteland. Am I right, Aaron?
So this is actually a callback. Mark Poole also did the art for Library of Alexandria, and that is the library that is buried under all of that sand there. So it's a very, very nice callback to another card that he had done. But this is amazing. This is a case of you're getting a Wasteland and 5 other cards. Birds of Paradise is still between $5 and $10. Popular Commander card card. Brainstorm will always be good. Everybody's going to want Brainstorm. Balance, I was really surprised by. I thought Balance was on the reserve list.
Nope, it is not, thankfully. But Howling Mind is still at like an $8 card. This isn't, that's not terrible. And this Birds of Paradise has the original, alpha beta artwork, which is also fantastic.
Which is a huge deal because this is the first time, I'm pretty sure, that art has been in foil.
Yes, for sure. And so the wasteland here that says the library scrolls have long since crumbled into swirling desert sands. I mean, like, I feel like this is going to be way more than $30 just because it's got that sweet callback to Library of Alexandria. These cards are fantastic. It's basically you get the balance and the counterspell and the brainstorm just, for free goodies, essentially. Like, it's crazy good how ridiculously sweet. There's $30 for non-foil, $40 for foil. That's fantastic. Here's a special guest, Fiona Staples, which basically, then there's some really good value in here. We have Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which is like $30 or $25 as it is.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
We have Metallic Mimic, which is not a couple bucks. Sakura Tribe Elder, a couple bucks, but this is a great version. Soul Scar Mage is like almost 10, and Spell Queller's like $5. So, like, there's plenty of value here, too.
Good value. I briefly want to stop on this Metallic Mimic because it is. I'm going to have a hard time playing decks without Metallic Mimic now that I've seen this Goblin Pirate robot on this Metallic. This is maybe my favorite art I've ever seen.
And how thirsty is this Dryad? I need to know.
Oh, man.
Well, the original is naked too in that profile shot, in all of their beauty. And so, but this is a different take on that. That smolder is everything.
That's smolder.
A little history / lore of Theros is that the Elysian Grove is where is in the underworld. It's where the heroes go when they die, and so that's paradise, utopia, Eden. And so the Dryad of the Elysian Grove had better be perfect.
I mean, so if you live a good life, that's your reward.
That's right. You know what it is. Play an extra land every turn, baby.
Well, the Sakura Tribe Elder is really interesting. Note here the flavor text. There were no tombstones in Orochi territory. Slain warriors were buried with a tree sapling so they could become part of the forest after death. That's a really cool sort of idea, and it was also one that was put into the sequel to Ender's Game, Speaker of the Dead, where they put trees and to glorify people in their culture.
That is illegal in most states, unfortunately. I was looking into that for when I die, I kind of want to turn into a tree, but turns out you can't do that.
But I want to be a tree.
I do too.
I want to be a tree. So $30 for all of these cards. Again, like between Dryad, Mimic, and Soul Scar Mage, you pretty much got your value. The Sakura Tribe Elder is sweet. The Spell Queller is still playable. Like, these are all fantastic cards, and they look sweet, so that's great too. So $30 non-foil, $40 traditional foil. Cool. We then have special guest Jen Bartel, which features Bloom Tender and 3 cards.
Which is Bloom Tender and 3 cards. The Meteor Golem is wild.
It is wild.
I love that card.
But value-wise, it's Bloom Tender and 3 cards.
Magic card-wise, the value is Bloom Tender and 3 cards.
Yeah.
The value is that it's by Jen Bartel.
Yes.
Who is
amazing.
a Marvel and Image Comics person. She co-created Blackbird.
Nice.
She's an Eisner Award winner, a recent Eisner Award winner for her work. She doesn't do magic cards. So this is a type of collector's item in the vein of Secret Lair, The Walking Dead, right? And and the other ones that are going to reach outside of Magic the Gathering. And this is a very exciting one from that standpoint.
Oh yeah, and this is sweet in that regard. And do note, for those who didn't know, Fiona Staples draws Saga, which is one of my favorite comics of all time. I literally have all 3 of the big volumes right up here on the shelf. Yeah, that thing is amazing. If you've never read Saga, you are missing out.
I love Saga.
Yeah, and
is that the really smutty comic?
No. This was the one about there's basically somebody with horns and somebody with wings, and they're from 2 different cultures who shouldn't be together, and they get together, and that's how the story starts. And
I just remember I must be thinking there was a comic that was just really, they were always just going at it.
There probably certainly are, but Fiona Staples doesn't draw them.
Saga, you walk into any comic book shop and there's going to be a copy of Saga sitting on the shelf.
As there should be.
Probably the graphic novel.
Yes.
She's also in charge of the most recent Archie, I think.
Oh.
So if you've seen Archie comics at your local comic book store, that's probably a Fiona Staples point.
Well, I mean, again,
another Eisner Award winner,
Yep.
you know, all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. Jim Bartell, again, was did great here. I mean, so these are great. And again, you know, Bloom Tender alone is $25+. These are going to be great because of, you know, how scarce they're going to be, yada, yada. The Meteor Golem looks incredible. And so, again, $30 for those, $40 for foil. That's awesome. Here we go. For Rexian Prater's Complete Edition. Now, before this showed up, there were theories of how Wizards was going to squeeze everybody dry. Vorinclex is a $50 card. Elish Norn is at least 20 to 30. Gingitaxius is like 20 to 30 or something crazy.
Right.
All of these things are worth lots of dollars. Lots of dollars. And here is the Phyrexian versions, just like the Judge foil.
So this started as a Judge promo. The first one we ever saw was the Elish Norn, I believe. And then then they released the Phyrexian Vorinclex when Vorinclex came back in Kaldheim. And to my knowledge, we hadn't seen the other three yet. But when I think it got leaked on Magic Online that these were a thing, I think that's how it got outed.
That sounds
and
about right.
so we had a feeling the secret layer was coming. And, you know, it's a bit of a bummer, but, you know, you got to keep the money train going. And like you said, Vorinclex is a $40 to $50 card. Sheoldred is $10 to $20, depending on which version you get. You know, at least 3 of these see regular EDH play. I mean, this is, again, $30 for non-foil. I mean, this is a steal. That's the Vorinclex alone.
That's incredible. Like the value in this is just bananas. I've never seen them juice a secret lair product in this way before, where it is clear you're getting tons and tons of value back. Like it's obscene in many ways because, you know, again, just like the previous Secret Lair gave you 4 cards. This gives you 5 Phyrexian Praters for $30. That's amazing.
I mean, there's no world where this isn't worth more than $100. Immediately cracking it and trading it away.
Yeah, immediately.
Of course, there was a lot of drama surrounding the Elish Norn in particular because not too long ago, although at this point,
a couple years,
somewhat long ago,
right,
the Elish Norn Judge promo was released. And so there was consternation within the Judge community about them releasing this version so soon after that. But all things being equal, I would rather personally, as someone who doesn't have any, you know, clout or money invested in Elish Norns, it's kind of not my place to say, but I think that this is, you know, as a Magic person, if it's not on the reserved list, you should expect that everything gets reprinted.
100%. And you know, if reprinting the Phyrexian Elish Norn was a problem, just wait till we get to Desperate Ravings and talk about taking value away from something. So the Phyrexian Praetors, you know, edition is amazing. And here we come to Mother's Day 2021, 4 different Mother of Runes. And that is Rebecca Gay coming back to Magic.
Gay Pride. Yeah, so Rebecca Gay was on today's Magic stream. And if you ever get the chance to listen to her talk, she is a beautiful human being. Like, she is an artist through and through. And they showed a full art version of her card. And there is so much going on here that this frame doesn't necessarily convey. So this is a woman who is holding a baby while also holding up the world, because that's what mothers do. Right, and then underneath that is supposed to represent her demons and her struggles and how woman literally keeps it together. Like, there is so much going on here, and she conveys it so beautifully. Rebecca's child, who is non-binary, is Elliot, who did the Mother of Runes. And Rebecca was talking about how even though they didn't really work together, they still had a very similar vision of motherhood and what they wanted to portray. Whereas with Rebecca, her art was really talking about kind of the struggle, and while kind of juggling everything. And Elliot took more of a woman kind of controlling or dominating her circumstances kind of thing. And so if you have a chance, go back and watch the VOD. I mean, you could just listen to Rebecca talk all day long, and just the love that she has for her child and the love that she has for her art. Just an incredible human being. My favorite part of all was eventually they asked her thoughts on some of her more popular pieces. And it was funny because they got to Priest of Titania and she was like, I could have done some things better. And then Blake was like, what is the one card you would do differently? And she was like, Dark Ritual. And it was like, oh! And so it was just great to see, you know, this card that we all love so much, and to have her go like, it's not really my best. Like, like what?
Sure.
Oh.
But also it was painted 20 years ago. Artists grow and change and look at their own work differently.
And she's also just so grateful to be a part of Magic too, which is something I really appreciate, because one of my little pet peeves is I get really bothered when I see artists that kind of came up through Magic who kind of forget where they came from. And not only was she just really great to listen to, and not only did she explain all of this very well, but she just seems to have a great appreciation for Magic and the role that it played in her life as well.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, while Mother of Runes is ultimately uncommon, and they're worth around $5 to $6 a piece, these are, of course, special versions, which will be worth more than that. My guess is at least $10 a piece. Goodness, that the Rebecca Gay one's probably going to be, 20-ish, I can imagine, in a binder one day.
Sure.
And these are all fantastic, and again, $30 for non-foil and $40 for foil. And here we get to Dan Frazier's Signets. Oh my God, retro border. Brand new artwork, signets that look amazing.
No flavor text.
I love that the Gruul signet is just two rocks
Isn't it amazing?
tied together.
It's so good.
I mean, this is for the Commander kids. I mean, signets are, EDH is really where the signets flourish. And to my knowledge, this is all new art. I certainly have not seen the signets with this art looking this way. And so, for the Commander kids out there, this one's for you. And there are two different sets as well. So there's one with the allied colors and then one with the enemy colors.
Exactly. And these are $30 and $40 again. So feels a little odd to pay the same for Rexian Praters as it does some signets. But at the same time, these signets look amazing. The Is It signet? Oh my God.
Yeah. The two dragon claws.
The Boris signet? Oh, yeah. It's so good. It's just so good. I love it. And Dan Frazier, of course, being an old school Magic artist, coming back to make these.
Look at that background. Look at that, what is that? What is that design called that you see on the back of the Azorius and the Simic Signet?
Right.
I don't know what it's. The marbling is, it's Moxen. That's what that is. And so it's incredibly cool.
Absolutely fantastic. So, yes, again, they're not Praters, but these are going to easily be, I'm guessing, $10 a piece in the real world when these finally come out and show up. And so if that feels like the floor, getting these for $30 or $40 foil is awesome. And then, of course, they want to sell you the whole, shebang or whatever.
The whole thing.
Here's all the foils. You can get a foil of everything for $269 US. You can get the non-foil altogether for $199 US. The All For You bundle, adorable, the For You there, which includes basically everything, foil and non-foil, for $444. Now look, one day in the future, if we are to be so blessed, someone will be researching Secret Lairs, and they'll say, oh, there's this weird show that goes over Magic News and talks about Secret Lairs, and we'll say you can get all of these for $444.44, and they'll go, my God, if only we had a time machine to go back and buy, again, the last one, the ones with the lands with all the words on them and stuff, the full text lands, those I kind of missed out on and didn't jump after. This one, I can't imagine if you had the dollars to spend, don't go nuts, don't not eat. But if you had the dollars to spend and you're able to throw these in the closet, that's going to seem like a pretty small figure when you get something back in 2023 or 2025. It's crazy.
It certainly feels like the dragon that lives underneath Hasbro is just does not care about the secondary market, which I think is kind of great.
I mean, they do, but
they care in so much as how can I benefit from the secondary market.
Exactly, and they've figured out how to do so. They really have.
And they have.
Sure. I mean, this is making them millions and millions of dollars a year. And I'm over here telling you to buy a $400 thing. That alone is a lot of money for a bunch of cardboard. I totally understand that.
How much did the Secret Lair of the Walking Dead make for Hasbro? I feel like we had a number.
There was sort of some vague, there were vague numbers of it was the best selling and they did so-and-so numbers of dollars or whatever.
I thought I'd heard a number at one point.
I don't recall.
I just heard it was the best.
Okay. Right. Well, I think that clearly the Secret Lair series is insanely good for Magic.
Oh, well, for Wizards of the Coast profit margin, you bet.
Right.
Goodness.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's all you got to say is they make a lot of money.
If we had a number with which to base our baseline Secret Lair on, and then we saw 8 Secret Lairs get released, how many do we have here?
I mean, at least, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? 8.
Hey, I did it. Let's say $1 million per Secret Lair.
Sure.
So this is just, hey, we're going to make $8 million today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is
over the course of a month. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Okay. But yeah, and then they're going to do that, 6 times a year? We have these announcements?
Oh, yeah.
And so they figured out that this is like they're slowly turning that knob of how much can we make the fire hose pump out water, and they have not figured out the top speed yet.
Well, because people keep buying it.
Because people keep buying it. And look, and I'm not casting aspersions about that. I'm just saying that that's what we're going to keep seeing.
Right. The pharmacist judge here noted, and thank you, that Black is Magic made almost $1 million for Black Girls Code. And they said, well, if they gave a portion of the proceeds to Black Girls Code and how much that would work out. I mean, we had some vague math at the time. But, again, ultimately, these are now smaller boxes of cardboard, which is nice. I was actually...
Oh, that too.
Yeah, I was
packaging.
The packaging is updated, they say, to be sort of smaller. And, of course, I actually didn't touch on this. There's playmats from Ultra Pro because of... Why not?
Sure, of course
they've got artwork assets. Might as well throw them on stuff, including
T-shirts. Yeah,
T-shirts. Bags.
Tote
That's
bag.
cool.
Yeah, fine.
It is a little weird to me to just have a black T-shirt and just have like the card art right there, nothing around it, nothing framing it. You know what I mean? Just slapped.
Well, there's a secret layer on the sleeve.
Yeah. But that's about it, right? There's a playmat that has Secret Lair drop series on it. I'm not sure who wants to buy it, but apparently
is that one only available in the EU? I seem to recall reading something about select European regions. Yeah, because I saw Chase on Twitter, and she was like, somebody in the EU needs to get me that.
Sure. And I mean,
because I like those more blank, plain playmats personally.
Right. Well, I mean, and getting playmats printed in Asia, for example, is real easy, and to get them over to Europe is super no problem. Get them to America can be a problem.
Really?
Yeah. But they do note the new slimmer box is here, which is cool, which is appreciated. The new packaging, they say, will be using for all Secret Lair drops, beginning with this Superdrop, has been reduced to less than half the original volume. Appreciated. Is made from all recyclable paper, except the plastic card wraps they're looking to change, and contains 91% less plastic by volume.
Cool.
Good.
Great. Fabulous.
Way to go. You did it, Wizards. Congratulations.
Good announcement. Well done.
All right. And so here, and maybe they added this later. I could have swore I did not see this. Login plus pre-order equals free booster. The Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, the D&D set's almost here. Here's the deal. Each customer who places a pre-order while logged in will receive an Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set booster with their shipment.
Okay.
That's interesting. Customers will receive only one booster regardless of the number of pre-orders, but we're happy to say that most customers with a Wizards account are eligible to participate. So how about it? They threw in a booster pack too.
Fabulous.
I'll take it. So less packaging, more stuff in it, better value. Like, and think of it as like when they make the master sets, right? And Modern Masters, you can go back to this and look at classically, they had no idea what they were doing with the first Modern Masters, and it was way too juiced, and there was way too much money for what they were charging. And you go through the different sets, and you can see that, they say, well, there's a certain amount of money they'll put in each sort of spot, each mythic rare and each rarity or whatever. And, and some they have to kind of hold back. So they don't just, print the greatest stuff of all time, in this one set, and then you're done. Yeah, so they kind of stretch it out a little bit. And again, this Rexian Prater thing, they could have went all sorts of ways. They could have given you a Phyrexian version, a non-Phyrexian version for $30, and did it for 5 times. Who knows, right? And arguably, we would have said that's probably a pretty good deal, yada yada. But all 5, okay. I mean, this is value, and they're giving it to you, and I'm excited. And again, just stuff like the Saturday morning stuff alone is so cool. I can't. This is the best Secret Lair Superdrop thing I've seen so far, in my opinion. It's not close. It's great. All right. Let's move on here to Gathering the Townsfolk. Talk about Magic Arena. That's Aaron's favorite. Yeah. So they're going to do 100 card historic brawl, which I made fun of this morning and just said, why don't you just call that Commander? And then everyone's just like, it's not, you can use Planeswalkers. I'm like, dude, I know, okay?
Yeah.
It's a joke, all right? For God's sake. Anyway, on June 18th, that's tomorrow, F&M at Home will have the 100 card historic brawl, which is pretty neat. Lets you get some Japanese Mystical Archive card styles if you don't have them yet. And they're unbanning Golos, which is cool, and Winota.
Stupid.
Well,
stupid.
Hold on. They mentioned this, that those are high-powered commanders. We recognize that, right? But they also say that there's basically a system in place that if you want to play miserable commanders, you and your miserable commander club can play each other forever.
Yeah, okay. But the point of playing Brawl is to get randomly paired.
Is it?
I have my, if I have my Esika prismatic bridge deck, and all I'm doing is getting paired against other prismatic bridge decks, it's kind of miserable. If I'm playing my Linvala Savior of Seagate deck, I don't ever get to play against an Asika deck, that also is kind of miserable. So I think that you're asking for like more trouble than just leave them banned. Like, no one was asking for them to get unbanned.
It's true, no one was asking for them, but I do appreciate the fact that they've come up with systems that say, if you want to play like the Teferis of the world, which I still think is banned, but if you want to play these stupidly high-powered commanders, you'll just be paired with other stupidly high-powered commander decks. Like, that's cool,
Fine.
I guess.
Fine, I accept.
It's whatever. Do note, June 18th through June 25th, the best draft format of all time, Dominaria, is coming back to Arena. It is the best. It is the chef's kiss of drafting. I have never been unfulfilled or unsatisfied. It's always sweet. The games are always close. The answers are always in the common slot for the mythic rares that you just can't stand. There's no stupid, crazy like bomb that's unbeatable. Like what was the one from Theros Beyond Death? The white blue flyer guy. Dream Trawler?
Dream Trawler.
Dream Trawler. There's no Dream Trawlers in the set. There's none of that garbage.
You can eviscerate Lyra. The best creature in the set can be answered.
Absolutely. So the absolutely brilliant format. Feel free to Google some strategy if you need it. But all 10 color pairs are great. Ruben just plays 5 colors, so who cares?
Yeah, I just draft Grow from the Ashes and pick whatever random garbage rares that other people pass me. I'm just like, here's my Karazov and Halcyon and, Slyn Voda deck with 3 copies of Grow from the Ashes, and I don't make a play until turn 3.
It's true. Now, they know that Jumpstart's going to be there till July 8th. It's been there for a while now already. But there's a new chromatic cube coming June 25th. I don't know what that means, but dear God, please don't let it be designed by the same person who designed the last one. How dare you? First of all, how dare you?
Yeah, you really felt strongly about that one.
I'm a cube guy. I was there. I tried to harness it and grow it and show people how cool it was and talk about how much fun it was. And when you give me Teferi's tutelage and the patient rebuilding or calm rebuilding, whatever it is, and then you give me Ulamog and this garbage cube with no answers, I'm sorry. You built a bad cube. Build a better one next time. I could go into it further, but I won't spare you. I'll spare you rather. This weird thing lastly is a turbo draft where all your spells cost 5 generic mana less because it's like
We've played that before.
It's been a minute where they've done something like that.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting with Ikoria because everything costs $1 million.
It's true. So that'll be more fun in many ways. So that's neat. I can get on board with that. Something that Scryfall has done that they announced a couple days ago.
I thought they'd already done something like this already, so I was a little surprised.
I think
me too.
I think only patrons had access to it.
Oh,
and now everybody has access to their tagging project, where there's a whole, literally a series of tags where you can look up, for example, hat, and where every character in the artwork is wearing a hat.
They
Incredible.
go deep. Just looking at the A's here, I mean, they have anklet, antelope, antenna, arm raised, arm crossed, arm folded, arm spread. I mean, God bless whoever did this, because this sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, I looked up bee. Every artwork that has a bee in it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
There's Activate from Graveyard, Aaron.
Hey, I got you. No, this is wonderful. We've certainly had lists. We're always looking for new topics for our top 10s. And so this can certainly help us when we're trying to come up with things. If you are that commander player that really likes flavor, my friend Logan was working on a Mazarek deck, and he really wanted it to be kind of food-based. And so you can literally click on food. You could probably go even narrower and look at feast or look at fruit. And this is perfect for that. This is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Yeah, so just it's another fun way to chop up magic cards, and we certainly are looking for those all the time.
Continuing to leave Gatherer in the dust.
Yeah.
Gatherer should be shut down.
We don't talk about Gatherer. We don't.
Scryfall should be the official database of Wizards of the Coast, but that's just me. One day in the future, when they make that decision, I can tell you I told you so. So some unfortunate news now. Yeong-Hao is a magic artist who has some really amazing stuff. If I remember correctly, his island is absolutely incredible. It has like a super cool swirl in it, which is neat. Well, this artist unfortunately has some issues right now. His wife has cancer, and that's awful. And she's been battling it for a while and looking to raise some money to make basically the end of her life more comfortable, as it is terminal. This is like as sad as they come. And obviously, if you can't contribute to the GoFundMe, that's linked in the show notes and shown here on screen. If you can share it, that'd be great. Tell your friends, anyone who does have it. Obviously, people don't really like asking for money. I totally understand. But, this is a fantastic artist of magic who could use some help.
Yeah, his goal is for $40,000. They're already at $27,000. More and more donations keep coming in. I don't see. I'm going to throw a link in the chat here in case anybody hasn't yet. But if you are fortunate enough to be able to give something, please do. Otherwise, a signal boost can go a really long way. Right. That's for that.
Yeah, I wish there were better things to report here, but I do want to note that we have a platform. We want to let you guys know about it. It's the best we can do. Note here, and I brought this up or put this in the show notes specifically because I wanted to call out my awesome employer / sponsor of the show. Wizards Play Network is going to be closed tomorrow for Juneteenth, and so is Cool Stuff Inc. The wonderful owners had started doing this last year, as a result of what was going on in America at the time. That was officially a federal holiday as of today, which is cool. But that's a thing that Wizards is also observing, which is pretty neat.
Lots of businesses across at least my area have started closing for Juneteenth, right. Which there's also a bill in Congress to turn into
which I already went through.
Did it already go through?
He resigned it today.
Oh, great! So it's a federal holiday.
It's an official federal holiday. That's right, as of right now.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
This is, of course, commemorating the events in Galveston, Texas, in 1866. You should look them up and discover for yourself all about Juneteenth. I'm not the person to tell you about Juneteenth.
Well, no, but I mean, I think that, and this for me personally, like I try to spend this day just like I did last year, which was looking up African American content and historical stuff, and like teach me, let me know, tell me about the crazy stuff that went on in Tulsa that they didn't teach or tell anybody until like now, which is insane.
Yep, it's a time of reflection. There are a lot of the events that have taken place are not as far away as people would have you think. And so even with Pride Month, it feels like Stonewall was a lifetime ago, but Stonewall was in the 70s, I believe, which is 31 years ago. And so, it's important to know that these things that we think were so long ago and can't happen again could very easily happen again. And it's important to know where you come from. It's important to know where other people come from, because when you do, you can understand them a little better.
Right. And the 70s were about 50 years ago.
Jeez.
We's old.
Math.
All right. So let's move on here to...
If that 70s show...
were made today, it'd be 2002.
I think it'd be 2002. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. And like 1979 would be like 2004 or something. The song from Smash Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. So moving on here to some desperate ravings. Hoo boy. Wizards... Look, I get it. Game respects game. They have some really awesome news. One of the coolest, most value-packed secret layers of all time. And we kind of removed $750,000 from the World Championship.
Yep. So there was there was an article about the 2020-2021 season World Championship that does say with a prize pool of $1 million will feature the winners of each player's tour. And then you cut to today, there was an article that was released that then says taking place October 8th through the 10th with a $250,000 prize pool. And so that's a pretty significant decrease. And so it has led to an outcry from pro players and other people who are basically asking, where is the money going? And the irony of this announcement being made on the same day that all of these secret layers are being announced, at which, Wizards is probably going to make a lot more money. And so that seemed to be the kerfuffle of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think that, saying that, first of all, I don't know how much of the Secret Lair stuff Wizards gets. I thought that was a Hasbro project. But,
they're a part of Hasbro now.
I understand, but the Secret Lair release specifically, I thought was different in how much it was controlled by Wizards, and therefore, whatever. It's neither here nor there.
Okay.
The point for me is that all of that is separate from the organized play department.
Right. What I would say is their budgeting doesn't say like Secret Lair money goes into organized play, but
Right.
there is a budget for marketing. Organized play is marketing at the end of the day, and so like they're just like, we're just going to drag that back.
They're shifting money around. The problem, of course, being that they did it after announcing the number, and then like this article about this was posted without a tweet, I believe.
Right.
And is taking away 75% of the prize pool.
And that's just huge. I mean, we see here, Andre Strosky saying the prize pool was gutted by $750,000, which was expected, but still kind of sad. He's not sure how much he'll prep. Feeling zero motivation to play Magic at the moment, which I understand. So kind of hoping for a flat payout so they can just skip it and just be like, just send me a check. Could you just send me a check? It's fine. I don't care. I'll go in last place. And you go from 2019, which had $1 million prize pool. Congratulations, PVDDR, for getting that sweet cash while it was available. And now you got, so last year's was just straight up canceled, which I understand. And they boosted some other events or something, some online events. And then here you just have a complete gutting. And that's just where we're at. And there's not much you can do about it other than be kind of angry at it. You have Ari Lax saying it really sends a message to anyone competed in future events that you can't even trust previously announced payouts if you're qualifying for literal worlds. No clue how you reboot any semblance of competitive play from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some trust that's been lost throughout all of this. The fact that the prize payout can change like this. The fact that it's not locked in at any point. That you don't really know what your prizes are going to be. That's definitely kind of hurt the brand a little bit when it comes to competitive Magic. And what they're feeling is entirely valid. I do question, Ruben, I think you brought up a really good point, though, about, just because the secret layers are making money does not necessarily mean that money is going to organize play. And so I do feel like that's kind of an apples oranges argument, because people say, well, the secret layers are bringing in all this money. It's like, but that's not necessarily going to the people you think it is. And so I think it's very important to distinguish that. I think that both of those things can be true. You can certainly be upset about what happened and it's not okay. But I think drawing a conclusion to, well, just use secret layer money. It's like, I don't think it's that simple.
and of course it's not. Of course, when you're dealing with big numbers like that, there's layers of approvals and there's executives involved and all this other stuff, and there's marketing meetings where they say, how do we split up this money? The issue is the narrative. The narrative is 2019, they're going gangbusters on eSports. They don't really know what they're doing, but who cares? The money's flowing. We have 2020 where everything stops. Oh my God, the company could be in serious trouble. They have their biggest year ever. They make the most amount of money ever. They report it pretty clearly now that Wizard is making absolute ridiculous amounts of money, hand over fist, crazy profit margins you wouldn't see beyond cosmetics or doing illegal things, like crazy stuff. And they're like, can't give you that $750K. We gotta pull that back. We got shareholders, and that $750K. I mean, we don't even like organized play anymore. So
It is seems like such a small drop in the bucket compared to how they appear to be making money hand over fist.
I mean, when you throw around $400 million here, $400 million there, that's a lot of money, man, and you're making it like crazy. So, yeah, that's a thing. So, any other words on the crazy payout? Unfortunately, as much as we are not happy about it, and or some pros complain on Twitter, I don't expect this ship to turn around.
That's the thing. It's like, who really cares? Right?
Well, I do think that, it is unfortunate, and I do want to make sure that I validate, those feelings are valid, the feelings of betrayal and the feeling of trust being misplaced, that's all valid. I do think that this is very much a turning point for a lot of players of, the era of being able to get by on simply being good at Magic is not really going to be a thing anymore, where it's going to be very important to diversify your portfolio. And, are you a personality? Jim Davis is a really great example of somebody who, was a grinder for a really long time. And as he, he posted a tweet the other day that was like, I post jank brews while my hamster licks himself. Like, he's done a really great job of transitioning from, being more of a casual player and leaning more into donation decks. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how many of these pros can really lean into something other than I'm just good at this. Andrea Mengucci is a great example that not only a skilled player, but he's really leaned to the videos and the gelatos and the mango cuisine. And, can you do something other than that? I think that's really going to be the challenge.
I do think that the headline for me isn't the end result. It is how it was done, which is that they didn't announce it. It appears to be done in a way that is directly contradictory to their highly advertised announcement from just a few weeks ago about saying, hey, we're going to bring it back bigger and better than ever. Oh, by the way, we're not actually doing any of what we just said, which is kind of...
they announced that they were going to do it for one more year
great.
So they could give people time to prepare or whatever. But at the same time, they also had payouts that people were talking about, thinking about working towards, and now those are completely gone.
Yep.
And
it's
I get it.
Yeah.
Right. Look, I get it, Wizards. You don't like spending money on this stuff anymore. I understand.
But you don't get to announce it, get the pub.
Right.
Then rescind it and not get the backlash.
Right. And so, someone noted here from Cedric Phillips here that
Ruben,
said,
what does the tweet say?
Let me click on it real quick. Hold on.
Well, I got you. All organized play is a method of marketing for the game. Previously, in the early stages of the 2010s and prior, it was a great, arguably best way to market the game. Now, there are other methods that are less expensive, require less resources, and easier to quantify on a P&L. That last one is the one that I kept saying. This whole time, I kept saying it. You got to draw a line between Wizards makes money and they support pros financially. You got to draw a line there, and no one could draw the line, and they certainly couldn't implement it that great. They couldn't sort of get that deeper into Arena integration because Arena's over here in this silo, and you're in the organized play silo, and shut up and go home. And so, that's pretty much where they were. And so as they kind of floundered, that's just kind of, they started to look more and more like a waste of money.
Sure. I agree. I also think that Wizards of the Coast owes the Pro Tour a lot more from its earliest days than it lets on. I think that the reason why Standard is a format anyone cares about is because they created Standard for the professional tour so that the people who had collected the early cards weren't ruining the game, which at the time was going to die because it was a fad. Right. And the way that Wizards mitigated that was instead of bursting the bubble, they let the air out of the bubble slowly on purpose so that the game could survive longer. And a big amount of that credit goes to the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour. So whether or not it's a viable business opportunity now is a little irrelevant to me based on how much it helped early Wizards succeed.
Right. And the issue is that stores can feel incredibly slighted in that you move further and further away from organized play that's sponsored on a very high level. Mm-hmm. And do note that even the previous systems were crap. You'd make like $15,000 a year in value. Like people still had to write articles back in the day. Yeah. They didn't have streams, but they had articles they could write and blogs that they could do or whatever. Patreon came around eventually. But, mainly it was, I paid many writers hundreds of dollars a week to write about Magic, and that was how they had a living. Was they got some of the pro benefits, they got paid for writing, they basically made content. However you do it these days is different, but that's just, you had to supplement it. This was the pay the pros argument that we talked about for God knows how long, and tried to pressure Wizards into be like, look, you need to support these players, and they're like, eSports, we're doing it, and we're like, not like that, and it was too late, and they screwed it up. And that's kind of where we're at. Okay, so let's move on, y'all. I don't really want to talk about Matt Sperling.
Matt Sperling is tweeting through it. That's basically the TLDR right there.
He's in his feelings. Matt Sperling is in his feelings. He is choosing violence, and every day wakes up and decides to be the main character on Twitter. And if you're interested in that, you know where to find him. You know where to find it.
Right. Vaguely blame Commander players for the death of pro play, then get called out, and then be like, it was a joke, and judges are whiny.
Judges.
Yeah, judges are the whiniest and the worst. Okay. Yeah, oh boy, okay, make some enemies. And then he's just like, all right, I'm gonna go screw off.
And then when last week he was like accusing Sam Black of like violating his NDA, and it was just like, wow.
Not even accusing, just like implying it with no proof. Yeah.
Like,
as Todd Anderson said, life is far too short to waste time arguing with Matt Sperling.
I mean, you know, I had to call the boy out. Like, look, man, you're going to cost Sam Black jobs. And not just that. It's stupid attacks like that, which were a joke. Whatever, which were a joke, sure, are just going to make people who work for Wizards or from Wizards never say anything about development ever again. Basically, he admitted a mistake. Oh my God! And you're just saying somehow this is like an NDA infraction or whatever. No, he's just telling you what happened.
No,
and you don't have to run out like that.
Doesn't care anymore because the pro scene is gone, and that's all he was sticking around for. He's a lawyer or something, so he doesn't need Magic to make money or be his social scene or do whatever else. So he's just decided that, I'm not tethered to this anymore. Goodbye, and then is going to have fun on the way out,
right?
Which is fine, but also super problematic.
But
when
words
he burns
mean things.
bridges that other people.
You can't say things like, you can say things like, this deck is crap, or you can say whatever, but you can't say, you're violating your NDA on Twitter because people are going to take that seriously. Right. The game industry is very much a case of who you know and, the things you type out and your reputation. And, if anybody sees that or even just, it's just not something you want. It's not an accusation you want to be throwing around casually. It's not, and it's also not something you want to joke about. And it was just not good.
And so, and Sam came black saying, look, this could hurt my reputation. I ran out there as well. Yeah, he deleted the tweets, but not after it got like 900 likes and was up for like half a day. Like, that stuff deals damage. And it just sucks to see somebody like Sam Black, who was just being honest, just trying to tell him what happened, not trying to make a huge deal out of it, just saying, look, they made the change. We didn't get time to test that exact change. Life moved on. Maybe somebody else did. He didn't know, but whatever. I'm not sure I really want to cover the next one either, other than I'm pretty sure Aaron Forsyth is still not on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well,
this was the big Twitter drama.
Well, I think they kind of tie into each other in that it feeds this culture of keeping doing what you're doing for the likes, keeping people talking, keeping people angry, good faith arguments versus bad faith arguments. Does this person actually care about making the game better for women, or do you want to dunk on Aaron Forsyth? Like, that's what you really have to, if you're going to be on Twitter or any sort of social media platform, you have to be able to distinguish between the two. And this was a case where, and that's not to say that Aaron Forsyth handled this well necessarily, but, it really is kind of a shame what Twitter has kind of de-evolved into, where it's just sort of, it's just something every day, It's
turning more and more into a minefield that if your spirit of humor or your sense of humor rather, is not understood. If your sense of humor is different, or you were just trying to make a little joke, but somehow because you were quote tweeting this person with only a couple hundred followers, now you were sending attacks their way, which was like crazy, and it just spirals into this you really had an actual agenda to just like hurt people when he was simply just making a stupid joke, and it just blew up. And I totally understand him going, we're to the point where it's just not worth having an account versus what it could do to your profession, to your livelihood.
And so it's just important to, you have to learn how to pick your battles. You have to keep good people around you. You have to know what's worth kind of responding to and what's not. And it really has turned into kind of this game. And the people who are savvy and play it very well tend to not attract any attention. And the people who may not be, very good at it, sometimes find themselves stepping in it. And it's unfortunate because that's not what it should be about. And Ruben and I have talked about this where, and I know I certainly have, I've just written tweets and I've looked at them and I go, someone's going to take this all the wrong way, and just boop, delete, and just move on with my day. It's not even taking
it the wrong way. It's just like taking it in any way that could be taken to the extreme, much less the wrong way, and then you have a whole conversation.
Well, I think it's also getting to identify what needs to be said. There was the young man who posted the thing about the pre-release that also made people angry, where not everything needs to be said. Like you could you went to a pre-release and somebody asked you to split and you didn't want to. You felt the need to tweet that, though. Like, not everything needs... And I know that's rich coming from me because I kind of built a name on oversharing. But, I've certainly scaled that back a little bit of, do I necessarily need to say everything that crosses my mind? Especially something that might make me look a little questionable. Like, you just... Again, going back to that, you have to know how to play this. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
Yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it, essentially. But
I mean, the news piece of that is that Vice President of Organized Play of Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, Studio X, whatever you want to call it, has deleted their Twitter account.
Yes.
For the time being.
Right.
That's the headline,
and
that's all you
news.
really need to know.
So Aaron Forsyth's on Twitter right now. Why? It's a little convoluted, and I'd really rather just not get into it, quite frankly.
I think we've talked about it enough.
The point is, I'm going to move on here to the last story here of Desperate Ravings, and this was a story I saw on ICV2. If you've never heard of ICV2, this is an industry website. If you run a hobby game store or a hobby games website and or the marketing manager, you probably care about it. The point is, it has industry news like this that sometimes is kind of a little silly. They talk about the Modern Horizons 2 singles price crashing. Now, first of all, this happens literally every time. Every Magic set in the history of Magic sets has been
news.
Pre-order period gets expensive.
Is this news? Question mark.
And then it doesn't. Now, I will note that the percentage drop for Modern Horizons 2, I think, would be arguably pretty high. Like the prices were just absolutely ridiculous.
I got a karmic guide for $1.50 today from CoolStuffInc.com.
And I'm just like, seriously, it's bananas. And so they say stuff like Ragavan.
No, Ragavan.
Nimble Pilfer was
Ragavan.
Ragavan?
Yeah.
Okay. Rogvan was listed at $190 BS. It was not selling at $190. It was listed at $190. Yeah. You can't say that was the amount it was going for because it wasn't going for that. You know what I mean? Like, it was silly. So these prices are kind of crazy. And yes, again, things go up and down.
This is a website that's notorious for not really knowing how Magic the Gathering works.
Is this like the Daily Dot or
it's kind of that? I would say it's, like when your dad tries to understand the previous generation's something, and they're like, this is the dad trying to understand, like, the collectibles market as they understood it in the 80s.
You ever get a friend who sends you an article on Magic the Gathering like 8 months after you read it? Mm-hmm. That happens to me a lot, and I'm like, I love you, I appreciate you, I saw this story on NPR 6 months ago.
No, but I do have friends that try to equate anything even remotely close. Like if you try to, people who don't play Magic, they're like, oh, it's like Game of Thrones, isn't it? And you're just like,
close.
I mean, there's dragons, I guess. Or,
sure.
Oh, that's the Pokemon thing. Just people trying to like somehow get along with it. Like
they try to relate. Right. I understand.
Relate to the kids. Right?
Relating to the kids, right? Yeah, this is the thing. So
like Neopets.
Do you guys want to talk about any of these splash damage articles or bits?
No.
Nothing seems that crazy.
I can summarize these in 5 seconds each.
All right, go for it.
Riley Knight, eSports commentator. Looks like Riley is going to get some jobs commentating from other eSports, which is right up his alley. Good for him. PV and Corey Burkhart joined InterPop as some sort of
they're making the
design.
Emergence TCG. This is the one with Brian David Marshall and Zvi Mauschwitz.
Awesome. Yep. These are the kind of jobs that you won't get if Matt Sperling tweets about you. I think that the D&D video games crossover thing is interesting. Chris Cox says that video games are at the core of the future of Dungeons & Dragons.
Who knew the Xbox guy wanted video games to be the core of the thing?
Right, but it also makes perfect sense because the most popular tabletop role-playing game in the world and probably the biggest brand, maybe second only to World of Warcraft, of any RPG in any form is Dungeons & Dragons. Turning that into a video game makes perfect sense. I think that is absolutely fine.
And they've had great ones, Neverwinter Nights and stuff like, Baldur's Gate. There's
absolutely
been some fantastic games
so
out there.
I think that's a win-win. Sure. And there's a new Pokemon coming out that requires, it's like the big furry monster from Unglued,
but
where you need four copies of it to make the big fur. It's like Exodia or whatever.
Oh wow.
I can't be bothered.
I mean, the reason I put this in here and or noted it was, don't think this ain't coming from Magic. You think we're not going to have a super big furry monster that takes 4? We're going to have super meld?
I want the Transformer card that was like one thing on one side, one thing on the other side, and then you unfold it and it's a third thing. Mm-hmm. That's what I want for Magic.
Yeah. Fascinating. Okay.
So I 100% expect this one day.
Sure. Let's get Doki Doki Literature Club for Magic.
Oh my God.
That's no idea what that is.
If you ever get the chance, just play it. Don't ask any questions.
Don't ask any questions.
Don't Google it. Don't Google it.
Okay.
Doki Doki Literature Club. Doki Doki Literature Club. Great game.
I feel like I need to give a content warning about playing it, but it is something. It is an experience, is what it is.
It is a unique gaming experience that I would not want to spoil for you. This is like if you said, I've just not seen The Sixth Sense. I'm not going to tell you the spoiler. You know what I'm saying?
I would say Doki Doki Literature Club is a game that I would not let children play.
Well, I tend to not enjoy anime anyways, so...
Sure.
But again, that's the way I would say, just like you're describing something with a big twist in it, you're not going to tell them the twist. Doki Doki Literature Club is not the game it seems to be, and it has a large twist in it, and it's fantastic. Okay. All right, so let's turn the corner here to the finisher. All right. The Netflix original film Wish Dragon debuted last weekend and quickly rocketed to the top spot of the streaming service. It's a family animated comedy featuring the voice stylings of the Magic community's own Jimmy Wong. Now, all accolades to Jimmy and all the rest of the crew, but this particular film got me thinking, if you could design your very own Wish Dragon for MTG, what would you wish for, Ruben?
I'd make a 4/4 for 4 with flying and haste. And when this creature enters the battlefield, ban Brainstorm and Historic.
Wow.
Nice try.
We'd have to call that the hot take right there.
Yeah.
Aaron?
Well, I would make a 7/7 for 7 with Flying and Trample that says, while this card is in your graveyard, it and your graveyard have hexproof, and you gain protection from unverified social media accounts. Yeah, I don't...
Nice.
I
okay.
I don't hear you.
Nope. They can't target you.
They can't block you.
No.
They can't enchant you.
Nope.
Can't do it.
La.
Well, I would make a 6-mana 5/5 that has flying and fire breathing like Garth One Eye intended. And when it enters the battlefield or attacks, create a treasure token that, as printed, would be worth $1 million, but will be worth a quarter of that less than a year later.
I'm waiting for all those people who listen to you and put their secret layers in the closet, and then they're worth nothing, and they come after you.
Right?
They're not worth nothing. I got the OMG Kitties one right
and
in
then
there.
There's a
Thing's
t-shirt.
worth hundreds of dollars.
told me to throw it in a closet, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
No, he's gonna get chloroformed and thrown into a trunk, and he's gonna wake up bleary-eyed, and it'll just be staring at a closet full of secret
him
layers.
In the closets.
Look,
right.
allow me to note, if you want any modern Horizons 2 singles, now and this weekend is the time to buy them. They'll never be cheaper than this. Mm-hmm. This is your chance.
I just picked up 4 copies of Brainstone. I picked up a Thought Monitor. I picked up I picked up one of the assembly make bunch of tokens things.
Yeah,
I got a Karmic Guide for $1.50. Yeah, I spent about $35 on some pre-orders today, which I'm pretty happy about. So I'm ready.
I need some things for I need a Brainstone, among other things, for my Atali deck. So,
well, like I said, not cheaper than right now, so jump on it. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, and stay cool this weekend. The weather is gross.
Very hot. Thank you, Ruben.
Yeah, I'm going to Vegas this weekend. It's going to be literally cookie in the oven weather. It's not going to be...
Don't melt.
You're going to go from Sherry's Berries to Sherry's Raisins.
I'm just going to... I'm going to be exactly. I'm going to be a pile of Ruben on the sidewalk.
Wow. Sizzling, y'all, as we move to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com, and Alter Sleeves, using the code MagicMics on AlterSleeves.com. My co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at MagicMics, on Twitter at MagicMicsCast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.